The goal of life isn't to be happy. And I know for a lot of people that may seem counterintuitive. It's like, if I exist, I should be able to be happy with my existence. And that's not necessarily beneficial to everybody. We all suffer, and that suffering makes us different and unique and stronger. Imagine you're tempering a blade. Tempering a blade means heat treating a blade, or I'm not entirely sure, but there's a process where you take metal, you heat it up to a certain point, and then you dunk it in hot oil. And then that essentially strengthens the material. It strengthens the steel or whatever the blade is made out of. And it is only through that tempering process that the blade was able to become the best blade it could possibly be. It was able to go from a very brittle, hard substance to something that is able to absorb energy, that is able to be effective. It is the tempering process that made it to be effective. So when people often say that they want to be happy as a goal in life, you're asking to not be faced with a brutal reality that happiness isn't always good. Now, that may sound a bit weird. Happiness isn't always good, but let me go into detail. To a drug addict, what is happiness? To a pedophile, what is happiness? To an average person, what is happiness? See, it's different for every person. But one thing remains. A lot of the time, happiness can be found in things that aren't necessarily good, objectively good. And I know that's another big term that I'm throwing around, but bear with me. When it comes to our definition of happy, it's different for every one of us, and who is one to decide whether another person is happy or not? If we're gonna say that everybody's goal in life is to be happy, how are we going to assess that level of happy for every person if it's different for every person? You know, that can lead to a lot of problems. And especially when it comes to people who are suffering from drug addictions, you know, their version of happiness is being able to, I don't know, smoke or drink or shoot up heroin, I don't care, whatever it may be. Their version of happiness isn't necessarily good for them. Maybe think about an obese person who is suffering from binge eating. They're suffering, even though the eating makes them feel happy, they're still suffering. And they're still people, so we have to be able to tell them the brute reality. It's like, you're unhealthy and you need help. I'm not even the most fit person ever. I mean, I have a big belly gut from all the antipsychotics I'm on, but even I realize that I need to do things in moderation, and that's the key. You shouldn't always strive to be happy. You should always strive for balance. Being able to balance things you can control and can't control. And eventually, you'll be able to find a middle ground where you feel comfortable, but comfortable and not overwhelmed, and not pressured by what other people may think, or by your own expectations, or by your lack of happiness. It's something to think about. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I have emergency links down below for anyone who's suffering in a mental health crisis, and I'll catch you in the next one. Shoots.